Hello. Okay, so this is Manifestation Mastery Course video 43, 44A, whichever one it is, I've already listed it. And so today I want to be talking to you about how to operate from the 0 point to change your reality. So we've talked a lot about, by the way, do you enjoy the background there? Can you see it? I'm in my new place. It's a freaking jungle here. I mean, it's just crazy, crazy beautiful. Anyway, so I manifested that for myself. I remember that was on my list. All right, but we're going to be talking about how to operate from the 0 point where you seek to correct imbalances in your world. So we've talked a lot about focusing on what it is that you want and going after your joy. But I do recognize that for some people, you bump into situations in your life or periods in your life where you don't know what you want. You may be in turmoil. You may be going through, challenges. There might be really serious situations like, relationship issues or family issues, death of a loved one. There might be real tragedies where you're going through a lot of pain and you don't know. It's one thing for me to sit there, here I am, a single guy with no issues and no kids and and I'm just floating around the globe doing whatever the hell I want. It's easy for me to sit there and go, what is it that I want today? But you may not be in that position. So I need you to watch this whole video because at the end of this video, I'm going to direct you to another video where I'm going to give you specific shamanic techniques and exercises that you can use to start the process to bring you back to a balanced center point and start over again and really take a look at yourself. What I'm going to do in this video is we're going to talk about it. So you saw I put up here, what are the similarities between Viking and Hawaiian shamanism, Weird and Huna. So this can apply to any of your situations, but I especially want to apply it to if you're going through a really difficult period and you're finding it hard to center. And so sometimes we need to just get back to center and then seek to create the balance. We know we're out of balance. So we want to find that center. So let's talk about the theories behind all of this again. So I'm going to use the teachings of my ancestors in terms of how the universe is created. And we may talk about the Huna a little bit because it's, it works together so well. So according to my ancestral belief, the universe, everything in the universe, is woven together into what is called the web of Weird, spelled W-Y-R-D, but it's pronounced the same way because it's the same word. The W-I-E-R-D, I think, is as it's spelled in modern English. That's a very ancient word, and it's the reason why we still use it is because it described everything. When you wanted to talk about everything in the universe that you can see and not see, explain, not explain, time, fate, choice, free will, the gods, everything, you talked about the web of Weird. And that's why even to this day, we say, wow, that's weird. If it's inexplicable, we say that's weird. Now, as when I say it, weird means strange, but weird before meant the law that governs everything in the universe. So, back 1,000 years ago, if somebody said that's weird, they would have said that's the law of the universe. I don't understand it. You can't see it. It doesn't make any sense to you, but that is weird. That's why when we say, weird. Weird is more than just strange. It's got this spookiness to it. This is where this comes from. And there are 3 giantesses who weave the universe, the life force energy of the universe to create what we know as space-time. space and time. That's a scientific word for, where we all function. That's what physics is trying to figure out, what happens in space-time. You can't have time without space. If you create space, you create time. So space-time. So weird is the weaving of three threads. The threads are the ever-present now, the origins, and the debt that you owe. Those are the three threads. We call those the present, the past, and the future. And it is the present moment that creates everything. It is an illusion that you live in this linear time frame of past, present, and future. That is an illusion that we need in three-dimensional reality in order to be able to function and enjoy this life that we think that we're experiencing. Bear in mind also, you create everything. So in this present moment that you are constantly living, you are creating everything in your world. Everything. Positive, negative, happy, sad. And so there are things called debt that you can't avoid. And these are things that you have created in moments as you've gone through your experience. You've created these debts that you have to live out. And so it's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, do this and do that, and just be very, cavalier about it all. But sometimes you bump into these debts that have to be paid. You have to experience them. And so what do? How do you balance yourself? So this is where we can borrow from the Vedic Hindu tradition, and they have the word karma. Now you think karma means stuff that happens to you based on past life. Usually when people talk about karma, they mean bad stuff. Why is there so much bad karma in the world? But the truth is that everything is karma. Karma does not mean debt or mistakes or paying for mistakes or paying for sins. The word karma means action, that which you have created from actions. Actions create consequences. Consequences have consequences attached to them, challenging or pleasant. But you are experiencing far more positive karma than you are negative. Because if the negative karma had built up beyond the positive, it'd squish you. You'd lose your life. So no matter how challenging your life is, there's far more positive karma working for you than negative, which means that you are being repaid positively for actions that you've done. Now I want to be clear, actions include beliefs and assumptions. Actions do not include thoughts or feelings unless you are indulging in them. Indulging in a thought or a feeling is you get hit with this wave. Let's say you get hit with a wave of anger, and you're driving down the street and somebody cuts you off, and then you have this flash of anger. The flash of anger is not karma. It is just simply you emotionally reacting to the stimulus that's happening in front of you. That's it. Now, ideally, anger flashes and then leaves because it's trying to give you the ability to protect yourself. It's, if somebody's coming at you with a spear, the anger is to defend yourself. Once the threat is gone, the anger dissipates. So if somebody cuts you off and you get angry, and then, a half hour later, you're still following the guy screaming, now you have gone into the realm of action because you now have indulged in that feeling and taken action on it. Action that is not appropriate or, that doesn't balance the situation. So that you've created karma. So feelings can create actions that can create karma, but the thing to do is you don't indulge in it. You don't focus on it. You have it, but you don't continue to indulge on it. I hesitate because, I mean, so many people that I'm talking to, in my experience, are full of denial. We've got a lot of codependent denial out there where people will, when they have anger, feelings of anger or disappointment, instead of allowing themselves to have it, they will stuff it down and say everything is love and light. I don't have anger. I don't go down to that lower level. And I want to be clear about this because this is something that is rampant in New Age circles. The idea that having negative feelings, having anger, having sadness, having frustration, that these aren't spiritual. And this comes from a holdover from even from Christianity, Gnostic Christianity. I did a whole video on how Gnostic Christianity is actually quite toxic and unhealthy. And we have a lot of people who think that Gnostic, and whether people realize it or not, they're Gnostic. Gnostic Christianity has created these two levels. There is the good level and the bad level. There's the good God and the bad God. And the higher levels are true, pure spirituality, love and light, everything is beautiful. And the bad is the physical. So they thought the physical world was evil and that the spiritual world was good. We have a lot of people in the New Age who've just the modern spiritual movement who think like this. And so when they get angry, they will deny it. They'll push it down and deny it. And in fact, there's been no shortage of times when I've been in discussions with people and, we're having, discussions or disagreements, and I will have emotions. You see, when emotions come up in me, you can feel it. And so you'll hear it in my voice. If I'm getting angry or frustrated or something, you'll hear it in my voice. I may even change how I'm talking because I'm feeling something. And there's been no shortage of time where people go, I am not going to that level. I refuse to talk to you right now. Ironically, they get really snappy and angry and shut down the conversation. But in that, they will judge me for having a feeling. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay to rage and scream and throw pillows or, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about you're having a discussion with somebody and feelings come up and you can hear in their voice or see in their face that they have feelings. There's nothing evil or wrong about that. And if you're one of those people that you feel that anger, intense feelings, sadness, pain is of a lower vibration, then I'm here to tell you that you're in denial. And it is the opposite of spiritual. It's actually very destructive to your spiritual growth. It definitely is for me. So that's why I hesitate on that, because having feelings and having thoughts arise in you means nothing. What happens is what you do about it. If you act out on, let's say, anger in a way that's not constructive or balancing, chasing somebody down the freeway, for a half an hour, screaming, and that is obviously not a good way to handle your anger. Having your anger in the moment and expressing it, saying that really makes me angry, that really hurts my feelings, whatever it is, that is actually a positive thing. But stuffing it down when the anger comes up and pretending that you don't have it or judging yourself. I got to say that in my experience, a lot of people who talk about love and light, everything is beautiful in love and light, in my experience, when I sense that they're in denial a lot of the time, I'll find that when they do get angry, they're the most judgmental people that I've ever run into. In fact, they'll judge you up and down for not being spiritual or being too, in lower vibrations or whatever it is. So the point is, I'm trying to say is that what creates karma, what creates debt, as my ancestors called it, is the actions that you take, not the thoughts, not the feelings. So I really, I've talked about that a lot. So in the moment you do have thoughts, you do have feelings, and you choose to make beliefs all the time. Um, and so if you continue to reinforce those same beliefs, they become a pattern. Assumptions, same as beliefs, but assumptions are, if you jump off a cliff, you will fall to your death. That is an assumption. That's an assumption that happens to be quite accurate virtually every time. Now, even scientists will say anything can happen, but the overwhelming evidence is that if you walk off a cliff, you are going to fall to your death. So that is a healthy assumption. An inaccurate assumption would be 50% of the time, as long as you're breathing out of your left nostril, you can fly and float down to the ground safely if you step off a cliff. That's an assumption. You can choose to believe that. But what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to fall to their deaths. And you can say, well, I said 50% of the time, and was he really breathing out of his left nostril? I don't know. So we have a lot of inaccurate assumptions about the world. But assumptions create karma. They create a debt. Your beliefs, your assumptions, your choices, your actions create a past, which we think of as the past. It's actually called origins. Origins means it originates a story. And so that story becomes your companion, and you walk around with this story, telling yourself all the time, I'm this, I'm that, I came from this happened to me, these people did this to me, I am that, and you create this origin story for yourself. Now, I don't want to minimize that, because the truth of the matter is that changing your origin story can be extremely difficult sometimes. This, by the way, this is what psychology is all about. I strongly recommend, there's so many people that come onto my channel that I can see need to go to therapy. They need to go see a psychologist. They're trying to deny themselves, they're trying to soothe themselves and tell themselves this, and everything is good, and I'm this amazing, perfect being, and they're spouting truths, but they don't have the ability to turn that into an origin story for themselves. This is what psychologists do. They help you go back into your childhood and find out ways that you have created, to really know what story you created for yourself when you're 2, 3, 4, 5 years of age, because that's when it starts. You're not going to consciously remember it, but you build it inside of you. It is possible to go through experiences of enlightenment and awareness where you become aware and you can recreate it. But the truth is that is very few and far between. You need to have somebody. You need to have counselor, mentor, spiritual teacher, all of the above sometimes, to be able to know how to recreate your origins so you can create a different future. Jung said that if you do not make the unconscious conscious, then, and these are my words, then your world will toss you around and you will call it fate. You will think you couldn't do anything about it. But we do have these bubbles of karma that we pop, and we have to walk through them. And that's when we really learn how to really examine those origin stories about ourselves and create a future. Okay? So does that make sense? Talk about it a lot, but it's such a deep concept. We can always keep talking about it. So let's take a look at the Huna prayer, the Ho'oponopono prayer. Ho'oponopono means correction or balance. And the theory is very similar. It's that there's an action that has been done that has created an imbalance. And one of the ways that imbalance manifests is in disorder and chaos in your reality, specifically in your body. Illness is a result of an imbalance. You offended something or somebody, the gods, a family member, your own soul. You did something that brought you out of balance, which we experience as an offense to us. And so this creates an imbalance that we have to live through. And until you balance that out, then it will manifest either in your outer world, the people that you live in, the government that you have, the people in your life, your car, your house, down to you, your own body, your own emotional awareness. Um, so the idea of Ho'oponopono is to balance it out. Now, I don't represent that tradition. I'm just telling you what little I've picked up on, and I've made the connections between that and my ancestral tradition. So what they do is they pray a prayer, which I don't know what the original one was, but the one of the ones that is taught in some modern understandings is, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you." Now, the idea is that whatever it is that's in your world, whether it's in your body, whether it's in your soul, whether it's in your checkbook, whether it's in your partner's face, whether it's your kids, parents, whatever it is, this is a result of an imbalance in you that has been projected out into your world. So imagine, you've come into this life, because some people really want to climb up my rear end about karma and say, why would I choose to come into the world? And they always use these big, examples of some horrific thing that happens to somebody in some third world country. And of course, that's not their experience. But it tells you the projection. They feel so damaged that they have to use this example of, I won't even get into it. And why would somebody choose to live in that? It's a good question. What's happening is that you have chosen to look at the imbalance within yourself, and you have chosen to have these things manifest in your world so that you will look at yourself. One of the greatest ways to learn that you are responsible is to look at things that you clearly didn't create in this lifetime. Your parents. Did you have abusive parents? You could say to me, I was born, I didn't choose to have these parents. I can't prove that wrong. You might be right. But for me, I much rather have the option to feel like there's something I can do. Now, there are things that on the external you don't have any control over. You didn't have any control over being born to abusive parents, as far as you know. But if you adopt the mindset that, yes, this was my choice, I did choose it because by experiencing that challenge, which we're going to experience as pain, by experiencing that challenge and seeking to take full ownership of it, there's this huge gift I'm going to learn from it. And that has definitely been the case for me. In fact, I'm 56 now, but it wasn't until I was 50 years old that I really started being stimulated to own the idea that I can choose to decide whatever I want in my life. I chose to believe that it didn't make sense to me to be put into this world and not have everything that I want. And to live a life where I'm doing things that I don't like, being in relationships I don't like, doing jobs I don't like, that seemed like such a waste. And it was eating me up. And I said, I didn't want to live like that anymore. I want to be happy. And I don't care how poor I am. I don't care whatever it is. I'm just only going to do what I want to do. And that's when I came up with the mantra that I say now, which is, the way to make your perfect career, find your perfect career, is to find what it is you really love. And what happens is the universe pays you money to be your authentic self. Easiest thing in the world. To be your true self, the universe will pay you. But are you in touch with your true authentic self? And it's very hard, especially if you've been born in a dysfunctional family. It's very hard because your authentic self is going to be clouded, and you may not have been given the opportunity as an infant or a toddler to create a healthy human identity. And so it's hard to connect to your authentic spiritual self because there's this damaged human identity, which causes all kinds of, alcoholism, drug addiction, all kinds of psychological disorders and things like that. And so this becomes a path. And what will happen is that various points throughout your life, these karmic bubbles will burst, and you'll have to face some serious imbalance within yourself. And so this is what I want to talk about. So again, the whole Ho'oponopono prayer says, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you." And it looks inside. You're not apologizing to, let's say, your parents who harmed you. You can, but that's not really what it's about. At least the way that I've seen it taught. What it's about is you are apologizing to your own soul, to your own self. Specifically, what we would call the lower self. The lower self creates your origins, it creates your backstory, it's your foundation. On the good note, your lower self is where your human identity lives. So if you have a strong human identity, it allows you to be psychologically and emotionally healthy. If you don't have a clear identity created in your lower self, then this can cause all kinds of problems, which means that you're challenged to really learn and focus what true balance is. So if you've gone through a lot of pain and challenge in your life, even emotional trauma and issues, it means that your soul is like, I want to take a master class in authentic self and balance. And some people don't, they give themselves such a challenging life that sometimes they don't get everything they want in this life, and they have to come back and learn some other things in the future. They don't have to, they choose to. When I say have to, it's like they go, gosh, I almost had it. I have to go back and do it again. That's what I mean when I say that. So the I love you is you love yourself, no matter what you're going through. I love you. What is it? I love you. I'm sorry. I am sorry that I chose to see this judgment about myself. Because whenever you judge somebody else, you're always externalizing your own internal judgment. I'm going to give you an example in my life. I've never had kids, as you know. And I've done that for a bunch of different reasons. I don't, it's in my chart. I'm not supposed to have kids. My chart is very clear, no kids. I don't understand why people want to, go through all of that hassle to have kids and, go through all of the pain and everything. And it's 20 years of your life, and it's just, don't sleep for the first, 5 years and all that. I don't know why somebody wants to put themselves through that. I don't see the benefit of it, but that's just me. But another reason is because I did not go through the most nourishing, healthy childhood, and especially as a little kid. And I can remember things about being emotionally neglected and and other kinds of emotional craziness and abuse and dysfunction. And so I can remember that. It was really quite uncomfortable, and I thought I was going to lose my mind a lot, especially as a teenager. I thought I was going to go crazy. But because of that, I can't tolerate the sound of little children crying and screaming. I can't. It's not just like the worst is infants crying. I mean, that's like my kryptonite. I can't handle it. It's not just that it's loud and it's obnoxious and all the other stuff. It's that something inside of me. It's the most frightening, horrific sound I could ever listen to. Reason for that is when I was born almost 2 months early, perhaps 2 months early. And back then what they did is they put premature kids and they isolated them and put them in incubators. So the time where the little infant needs the touching, I didn't get that. And so that sound reminds me of that. And as a kid, there was a lot of stuff that I won't go where, I just got neglected. I didn't get what little kids are supposed to get. And so that meant that sound, that the infant, the desperation, it opens up within me just horrific feelings that I can't even put my finger on. And so I judge that. When I hear little kids screaming and crying, I judge that. I can't stand it. And I go, why the hell would anybody want to have that that crying, screaming kid in their world. That's because that's that judgment on me. When I feel that intense need, the need, the deep need, the crying, the screaming, that when I feel that within me, because I didn't get it, I judge myself for that very harshly. So when I hear it in others, little infants, this is what I'm talking about. That is my expression. That's my expression so that I can learn how to love that. So let's say if I were out in public and somebody had a crying, screaming little toddler or baby, what I would do is, instead of what my instincts would be, which would be to go yeah, and have all those feelings and be really judgmental and angry. How dare you bring an infant in public that I have? Instead of that, I look at it and I see myself. And I say, I love you. I love myself for having that feeling. I love you. I'm sorry that you didn't get your needs met. I'm really sorry that happened. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for not creating a better life for you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you for bringing to my attention that which is imbalanced within me. So what that does is, and just by saying that, it may or may not fix the problem. What it does is it shifts your mind, shifts your reality. It shifts the way you view your reality. If you make a habit out of that, then what ends up happening is you not only do you change and heal all kinds of things, and you learn how to react differently and have compassion in places you wouldn't have compassion, all of that. Besides all of that, it gets you in the habit of intuitively manifesting what you want. I mean, look at where I'm at. I don't know if you can hear the birds, and you can't really see what's going. Maybe you can see it a little better if I back up. But I'm surrounded by jungle in this part of Australia. Just this amazing forest, and there's rivers. I'm in this neighborhood that is surrounded by rivers, and the ocean is down the street, and these birds and parrots and cockatoos and all kinds of really amazing stuff. That is something that I wanted. And if you had asked me, and if you go back and watch my video, you'll probably see me talk about it, 6, 7, 8, maybe up to a year ago, you will hear me say that what I want is I want to live in a natural setting. I want to live in a house, and I want to be either on the beach or in walking distance to a surfing beach. I want to be surrounded by nature, clean, all that. This is it. And I'm now here. I haven't moved any furniture in yet, but now I do. I have this nice big house that I live in, and so I've created that, and it's so peaceful here. It's like camping out. It's really wonderful. So the point is that when you get to the point where you can do these exercises, you will get to the point where you will align your internal balance with your external balance. This is what will come for you. And so that idea of being in the ever-present now, in the 0 point, where you don't have a backstory, you don't have an origin story of yourself that I'm this and they did that, the origin story that I've said in the past of what I just shared with you. I can change that if I'm willing to go deep enough to fix that. Okay? So, in order to understand how to do that, there's some very simple exercises that I'm going to walk you through. In order to do that, I want you to go to thunderwizard.com. Thunderwizard.com, you're going to scroll down on the right side and you're going to hit Manifestation Mastery Course. When you subscribe to the Manifestation Mastery Course, you're going to get access to hundreds of hours of advanced shamanism training that I don't teach on this channel. And you're going to have access to now 44 lessons in how to manifest your thoughts in reality. And we're going to continue to do this. You're going to subscribe. It's going to cost you $50 a month to do it. You're going to subscribe because it's worth it to you. I'm telling you, this is a reality. The universe has also taught me this, that in order to learn, you must sacrifice. You must. Our ancestors used to sacrifice animals to the gods to get what they want. Anywhere in the world, a true shaman always demands some kind of offering, whether it's a blanket, tobacco, money. People say shamans don't charge money. Really? Go to Siberia, where the word shaman came from, and try and find a shaman who won't charge you money. They will charge you money for their healing services. That is not because they're greedy. It's because in order to balance things out, you must offer something. So you're going to pay $50 for the first month because you can unsubscribe whenever you want. And if you don't gain something from all of the hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos on the channel, if you don't gain something from it, you can unsubscribe. But at least you said you did something about it. There's a lot of people come on my channel, I'm not kidding you, and they want to just tear me a new one because of this. There's over 400, maybe 500 free videos on my channel, hours of free teaching, hours of meditation, mantra. There's powerful stuff that cost me thousands of dollars to learn that I give out for free. They don't spend any time going, I'm going to search the channel for all the good stuff. They want to get upset with me because I do this and then I have this other place where I charge you. They want to only talk about that. Well, those people aren't going to, if everything that I've seen is what they do, then from my experience, it's going to be challenging to really get, to learn and to grow and to overcome. If you really want to get to that next level, you're going to have to give something. So this is one way you can do that. Also, it's a way to support the channel. So go to thunderwizard.com, scroll down the right side, hit Manifestation Mastery Course, and watch the second half of this video. I'm going to teach you very powerful, very simple shamanic techniques that you can use to balance your insides so your outsides will match. All right? We'll see you over there.